What's going on, guys? This is Airman Bros channel, and here's our new rubric called International. And today I'll tell you the legend about black-eyed children. In the late 90s, a journalist named Brian Bethel had an unnerving experience in his town of Abilene, Texas, where he works for the Abilene Reporter News, the local newspaper. Whether or not you believe his accounts of his experience, you should know that this is the real person. So, at the very least, we know that the premise of this scary urban legend is not a hoax. There is at least one person on the record who claims that this happened to him. Brian posted about this unsettling encounter in an mailing list in 1998, but he has since stated that the actual event probably occurred in the summer of 1996. He was in the town of Abilene, sitting in his car and attempting using the light of a nearby building, a movie theater, to try and write out a check to pay his internet provider. He hears someone tapping on the window on the driver's side. He looks up and sees two boys, neither of them older than about 16. They're dressed in hoodies, standing outside his locked car door. He rolls down the window, not sure what to expect, when the hairs on the back of his neck begin to stand on end, and inexplicable dread-like fear grabs hold of him. One of the boys begins to talk to Brian, and the boy explained that he and his friend need a ride, that they wanted to go to catch a movie, but they left their cash at home and needed a ride home to fetch it. While the conversation seemed innocuous, the paralyzing fear that Brian felt hadn't dispersed. In fact, the pit of dread in his stomach continued to expand. He couldn't understand why he was feeling this way, but he was terribly afraid. As the conversation continued, Brian glanced up at the theater building. He saw that the last movie of the night had already begun. By the time he drove the two boys home and got back to the theater, there weren't any movies left for them to see. As Brian thought about this, the older boy, the one who was doing all the speaking, started to get more pushy. He was saying that they were just kids and that it wouldn't take long. He said that it's not like they were armed or anything. This last part only unsettled Brian even more. Despite his fear, he felt his hand strain towards the lock on the car door. When he realized this, he yanked his hand away. He looked up at the boys to see if they had registered his unnaturally hand movements, and that is when he claims his blood ran cold. Both of the children had eyes that were fully black as pitch, no iris, no pupil. That's when Brian's panic reached its apex. He muttered an apology, hastily rolled up the window, and drove away with haste. As his car pulled away, the older boy knocked off the window uh, with some force. Brian claims he then said the following: "We can't come in unless you tell us it's okay. Let us in." As Brian hurriedly drove away, he looked back in his rear view mirror. The two boys were gone. Being a journalist, Brian reported what he saw, which is why the accounts of his experience are so well preserved, even across different sources. After Brian's detailed and throughout recounting of his experience got buzz on the internet, there have many more people coming out of the woodwork who claim to have had similar experience. Many of them share similarities. It always seems to be a group of two children, though they apparently aren't always two boys. They always seem to ask him for help. Some people report that the children knock late and night and ask to use their restroom. There is even one case of Marin claiming that he had a similar experience in his barracks. The children also seem to consistently request that they be led inside, whether it's a car or a house or a military barracks. Uh, it seems they cannot enter where they aren't invited. It's a noun what actually happens if you let back the black eyed kids in. Those who have done so may not be around to give us the detail of their encounter. It may be that the entire thing is a hoax, but if that's the case, why would Brian Bethel, by all accounts, a normal person and as a successful journalist, put his reputation and credibility on the line by making up a story? I don't know for sure whether this creepy urban legend is true or not. On the other hand, I know exactly what to do if two young kids ever tap on my car window in the dead of night asking for a ride. I won't even roll the windows down. Fuck it. Hell no. So that's basically it, guys. It was Aaron Bros with new rubric called International, and I hope you liked it. So subscribe to our YouTube channel, and goodbye.